Yeah. Okay, Mahinder. I'm doing the recording. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Please, everyone, please kindly mute yourself, please. So DXE stands for Direct Extractor Connection. So we use DXE in a sidecar scenario for BW. For example, you have ECC, BW. So usually via ECC, where the transactions are continuously inserted. So they're updated into tables, and these tables data I move via extractors. Or in other words, these are also called as data sources.
Mr. Nagar, this is Zubair here.
Yes, Zubair.
So in other words, a sidecar scenario I can understand in terms just like a sync. I mean to say it is just like a sync.
Yeah, sidecar in the sense, for example, here you have already one system in place. Okay, now you're not disrupting the existing system, but just now you have HANA over here. So whatever data that you take to BW, now if you enable DXE, it will come to HANA. So you have the system running, also you have the system running. This is sidecar.
So in a simple term, this is simply a sync.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So ECC is connected to BW via remote function call. And then from ECC gets the data to BW. So the data source which is here will be replicated. We replicate these data sources into BW. So you have something called info package. It's like a job. It's a job. The technical name is info package. So using info package, we transfer the data from ECC to BW via RFC connection. So the first layer to store data is PSA, which is called as persistent staging area. And from PSA, the data is to the info providers. Info providers in the sense these are called as info cubes and DSO, data store objects. So these are different info providers which provide information to the business users in the form of reports. Now this is what without HANA. So you don't have HANA. So without HANA, the tables cannot be directly replicated to BW. We use a concept called data sources, which are sources of data that we transfer to BW. And then once these data sources are activated, it creates a table which is called as persistent staging area. So that is the first place where data is stored in BW. So once you execute an info package, there are two containers. One is the table, which is a container, and PSA, which is a container which stores data. The data source is only a structure. So once you get data into the PSA, once you activate the PSA, a table is generated. So in that table we store data. So this is the usual mechanism that BW operates. But because BW here is on MS SQL, because the BW database is MS SQL, so there are performance issues in the reporting. So whenever a report is generated, there are performance issues. So that's why in a sidecar approach, now we thought to implement HANA. So we installed HANA. We installed HANA over here. And then we connect via HTTP. We connect via HTTP protocol to transfer data to HANA. So via web, which uses Access Engine, is a lightweight web application server. So via HTTP Access Engine, now the data is transferred to HANA. So let us see in a very step-by-step approach how the DXC is enabled, what is the role of administrator, what is the role of HANA application consultant. Let us see in a very step-by-step process. So first,
Nagarjuna, Mahendra here.
yes, Mahendra.
I have a doubt here. Do we use only DXCs in sidecar approach, or can we use the SLT as well?
SLT also we can use sidecar approach.
Okay,
Yes,
that means both we can use. Okay.
Yes, Mahendra. Yes,
Yeah, fine.
both we can use. Yeah. So let me quickly tell you the responsibilities, what the administrator has to do and what we have to do. So first, what administrator does is he makes sure that Access Engine is enabled in HANA. So once he enables the Access Engine, one minute. He creates a HTTP connection to HANA in T code SM59. At the third step, he makes sure that RFC connection between ECC and BW is established. Between ECC and BW is established. Now he also creates the configuration. He updates the configuration. we update the configuration in RS admin, updates the configuration in RS admin. So first we see these activities that are part of the HANA administrator. So he goes to the HANA Studio, double click on the instance, click on configuration.
Mr. Naga, this is Zubair here. What
Yes, please.
exactly the SM59 is?
Yeah, SM59 is a T code where the administrator creates the HTTP connection. It's just like a ABAP T code, a transaction code. Like for example S11, RSA1, like that SM59. Yeah. I'll show you shortly, yeah? Don't worry. So if you go to the Access Engine, expand application container, here you see Access Engine is by default enabled. But just to make sure that this is enabled, so this is we are not going to do, but just to check. For example, tomorrow if you have any issues, you can just cross check. So if you log on to ECC, give the username and password, click continue with log on, SM59. Yes, the bear, TC. SM59 is the T code. SM59. Click enter. Expand HTTP connections. Now here already the administrator created a connection, but in order to verify what connection he created, click create session, S11. S11 is the T code, so you can check in the table RS admin. RS admin is the table. Click display, click contents, and click execute. So here if you see, the PSA to HDB schema. So he created a DXE schema and PSA to HDB destination is DXE. So the connection is DXE. So if you come back to the configuration RFC, here you see DXE. So double click on the DXE, click connection test and response body. So SAP HANA direct extractor connection, DXE service is up and running. So now via HTTP connection, the HTTP connection is communicating to HANA. So once the connection is successfully established, now manually the administrator creates a schema in the catalog. If you expand the catalog, and here you would see DXE and DXE schema. So he also updates the schema name. So schema name is updated in RS admin. You see the schema name is DXE schema. So DXE name is DXE schema. So this is the parameter PSA to HDB schema. So in this schema it creates tables. So whatever tables that are relevant for DXE is created in this schema, and the connection is DXE.
Nagarjuna,
Yes, please.
yeah, can't we use the existing schema for this in the parameter area? Can we map any other schemas?
Yes, you can map. Obviously, you can map. But
That means just for understanding, we have created here as a DXE schema. But in real time, I think there will be only one schema, right?
no, Mahinder. Actually, if you see, SLT will have a different schema. DXE will have a different schema, because because this is only used for SLT. Because whenever you create configuration in SLT, automatically it creates a schema here. That is for SLT. But with DXE, we have to create manually. And in DXE schema, we only store in-memory DSOs.
Okay.
So it's best practice. It's not that you cannot use only one schema. Technically, it is possible, as you said, but best practice is to use different schemas.
For different connections.
For different provisionings, yes.
Provisionings, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So here we have created DXE schema. So it means that whatever data sources that we activate in BW, whatever data source we activate in BW in HANA, so the schema name is so here you can create different tables. So it creates in-memory DSO in the schema using 00, 40, 70, 80 and AO. So these tables are created as a result of activating the data source. So in this schema, where different tables are created based on the data source that we use, like 00, 40, 70, 80 and AO. So basically we are now in here. So update the config in RS admin based on the connection that you created in RFC, the schema that you created in HANA, and also we want to use the BW which is inside ECC, which is called as embedded BW. So on the ECC also you have embedded BW. Click status. the BW 7.4 SP4. So the point here is, what I'm trying to focus over here is, once you make sure that access engine is enabled, HTTP connection is created in SM59, RS admin table is updated with the connection as well as schema name. What we have to do as the HANA application consultant. Now also you have another step to check for RFC between ECC and BW. This you can check in T code RSA1. So if you go to the T code RSA1 and the BW side, go to T code RSA1, enter. If you click on the source system, right click on the connection and click check. So once you check, now here it shows you the connection. Source system connection from ECC to BW is okay. So now everything is okay. The next thing that we need to do is, so this is what the administrator do the primary checkings to enable DXC. Again, check access engine is enabled. Check at the SM59 HTTP connection is created. Update RS admin table with the connection name and the schema name, and also to enable BW for DXC. And the last step is check the connection between ECC and BW. This is what HANA admin does. So what is our role over here? HANA application consultants. So first is whether you want to use standard data sources based on the gap analysis. So you identify gap, based on the gap you can create generic data sources and custom data. These are custom defined, and then you can create standard data sources. So using a generic data source, you can create in-memory DSO. So when these data sources, so these are nothing but data sources. So from ECC you can create a custom data source or a standard data source. Custom means generic. Based on the gap analysis we define the data source, and these are standard data sources. So both these data sources are replicated to BW. So both these data sources can be enabled for DXC. So you can enable for generic as well as standard. So let us look for standard first. So the steps that we have to perform here is, the second step is go to the T code RSA5, say 5, where all data sources, you can find all the standard data sources. You can find all the standard data sources. T code RSA5, click enter, expand SAPR by 3, expand SD, expand SDIO, and these are all master data sources. So you see the symbol, this is for attributes, text and a hierarchy. So you can use any of these data sources. Like for example, let us take 0 customer ATTR. So this is something like KNA1 table, customer master table. So it gives all details about customer. So let me copy this. This consumer, okay. I'd like to have customer. So do we somewhere see customer? Let us take this, okay, no problem. So consumer ATTR. Or also you find more master data in logistics general, like LOIO. Probably I think here we have a customer ATTR. Let me take this. Customer, according to the business requirement, you can choose the data source. So now, where are we? We selected the standard data source, which is customer ATTR. So once you select, the next step is we need to replicate. Step 3 is we have to replicate. Replicate the data source from ECC to BW using the T code RSDS. So RSDS is used to replicate data source from ECC to BW. Suppose say you want to check this data source. T code RSA3 is to check data source. This is called as extracted checker. So go to the T code, come back, T code is RSA3, give the data source name, and click execute. Now it shows the data that has been extracted. 1000 data records selected, and click ALV grid. So this is the data inside this. So what is the customer address? What is his title? What is his name? What city he belongs to? So it's something like, you see, the table is mostly similar to KNY1 table, which is an attribute table for customer. Now this data source data I would like to take to HANA. So before that I need to replicate this data source. So replicate data source from ECC to BW. So at the T code RSDS, we replicate these data sources to BW side via RFC connection. So log on to or go to BW system, T code RSA1, click enter. So this is data warehousing workbench. So one more session, you can open one more session, keep it as it is, this session as it is, and then create one more session and give the T code RSDS. So let's give the data source name, zero customer underscore ATTR. Then provide the source system name. And provide the source system name. Click data source. And then click replicate data source. So once you click replicate data source, data source was replicated successfully. So now the data source from ECC is replicated to BW. So once the data source is replicated, then we opened a previous screen which is RSA1. So go to the RSA1 T code, click source systems and double click on the RFC connection and select the application component, click find and provide the data source name and click search. The next step is we need to activate this data source. Double click on data source, click change data source and click activate data source. So now during the activation process it generates 5 tables. So once you generate the PSA at the HANA database, it generates the 5 tables which are known as in-memory DSO. 00 is called as, let me try to demonstrate this. So in here your 5 tables that are created, 00 is called as active data table. '40 is called as activation queue. '70, '80 and AO are called as control tables. So when a in-memory DSO is created in HANA is when you activate the data source. So based on the activation of data source, 5 tables are generated, which is 00, 40, 70, 80 and AO. 70, 80, AO are called as control tables. These are called as control tables. Now only the structure is created, still data is not available. So when you activate the data source, only the structure is created, only the tables are created. Okay, now in order to transfer the data from ECC source system to BW, we use info package. That's a job to transfer the data. But when you execute an info package, usually the data comes over here. But this time when DXC is enabled, the data is bypasses PSA. The data bypasses PSA table and finally it is rerouted to first 40 table and finally go to 00 table. And finally it go to the 00 table. So during the data movement from 40 to 00 table, it does something called activation of data. So until here, just until here, if you have any doubts, because I think if you have any doubts until here, let me know. I will try to explain again. If you have any doubts, please ask me until here.
Yeah, Nagarjuna. Hello.
Yes, Mahinder. Yeah, Mahinder, tell me.
Yeah.
Yes, Mahinder.
You mean to say this, when we activate this DXEs, when that means when the DXE is enabled, that means that replicate data will not available in a BW system. That's right?
Mahinder, actually your voice is broken. I cannot able to hear.
Yeah.
Please, can you come again?
Yeah. What I'm asking is, during this process, when the DX is enabled,
Okay.
that means the replication data will not be available in the BW. That means, right?
Yeah, it actually bypasses the PSA in BW, and via the
Okay.
DXE connection, it is transferred to the 40 tables first, and then internally there is a job trigger which gets data to 00 table. And on top of this, I create information views.
Okay.
So instead of now data going to the BW reports, now I generate the reports over here on top of information views using BOBI.
Okay. Then that means here there is no use of BW here.
Yeah, BW here, yeah, it's acting like a middleware, because only when you execute info package it can transfer the data.
Okay.
It's something like, it's like a job. For example, what I can say here is, if you have ECC, if you have HANA, now your middleware is BW, something like BW. So when you execute a job here, so basically when you activate the data source, the tables are created here, am I right? The in-memory DSO. And to transfer the data from here to here, we execute the info package. So info package triggers via RFC connection. It triggers the data source, and via HTTP, the data is transferred here.
Okay. No, just what my question here is, then what's the role of BW here?
Yeah, BW is like a load monitoring and load triggering mechanism.
Okay. And one more thing is, when we activate this initial HTTP connection, the 5 tables will be created, right?
No. When we activate the data source, Mahinder, this is when you activate the data source.
Yeah, active during the activate. But when we create the schema, the empty tables will be created, right?
When tables are not created, the schema is empty actually.
Okay.
So based on the data source.
Because till now what I thought is the sidecar approach means both will be used, BW as well as HANA. What I'm thinking is we use the model which is developed already existed in BW, kind of info cubes and all. What I thought was we will use them in HANA.
I mean, we'll use them, but in an indirect way. You have to again do data modeling, because we are only getting tables over here.
Yeah.
But if you want to get data models, then you need to have BW on HANA. In this case, we don't have BW on HANA. It's a sidecar approach here. You see, BW is on MS SQL here.
Okay.
You see?
That means here, from the modeling point of view, there is no use of BW.
Exactly. There is no use of BW.
In a sidecar approach.
Yeah, we have to again remodel.
Okay. Again remodel in HANA.
Yeah, because you see the BW system that you're using here, it's an MS SQL, please see.
Yeah, got it. No, that's what, because I couldn't see much use in this case, because anyhow, again, if you need to model that, it's better to go with the native HANA instead of that sidecar approach.
Yeah, it is better to go with native HANA, but the thing is, already you have invested a lot of money in BW.
Okay.
And then you have created all the extractors, generic extractors, you have done a lot of ABAP work. So directly these data sources cannot be taken into HANA directly.
Okay.
Because you can replicate tables but not data sources.
Okay.
But there is a method that you can take data sources to HANA without BW also. But again, you have to purchase DXE for that. Sorry, BODS. No, BODS for that.
Yeah.
But DXE is a free service provided by SAP. There is no licensing cost at all.
Okay, if we have a BW, right?
Yeah, if you have BW, now if you have BODS, you can still replicate data sources, but again, BODS is extra licensing cost.
Oh yeah, that's okay. But what I'm saying is the DXE service will be come with the pack of BW, not with ECC, right?
No. Only when BW is there, DXE will function.
Okay.
Without BW, DXC cannot work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. So now, so let us see the configuration. So let's check. Now once we activate, so did we activate? No, right? We'll go back to the data source. So we get to the change mode. So once you activate, now the tables are generated at the HANA system. So let me try to activate these data sources. So click yes. So data source is activated. So once the data source is activated, now the tables with the same technical name, there are tables that are generated in HANA. So if you expand DXC and right click on DXC schema, refresh, expand tables. So once you expand tables, here you would see customer ATTR 40, 00, 40, 70, 80 AO table is generated. So this is called as in-memory DSO. Only when you activate these tables are generated. With 0 is called as active data table, 40 is called as activation queue table, 70, 80 AO are called control tables. Now, if you see initially, the data inside the table will not have any data. If you click runtime information, the number of entries are 0. 40 and for 00 also the number of entries are 0. Only the structure is created. So when the data is transferred is when you create an info package. Once you create info package, the data is transferred to 00 table. So let me go back and right click on the data source and let me create an info package. So create info package. So info package is like a job to transfer the data from ECC. So the request is sent via RFC, but the data is transferred via HTTP to HANA. So give the info package technical name. Click schedule and finally click start. So once you click start, now usually the data is inside PSA, but during this process usually the data is inside PSA, but now the data will never reside in PSA. It bypasses the PSA and goes to HANA. So once you come back to the HANA Studio and double click on 00 table or right click on 00 table, open content. So we don't see any data. So there is an issue here. The data is not being transferred. It means that there is some issue in the DXC. So let us check whether the data in the PSC or not. If the data is in PSC, it means the DXC is not enabled. So the data is in PSA. So DXE is not working in this case. So let us try to troubleshoot why DXE is not working. So the data is successfully, the connections are fine. Let us check RS admin table, click contents, click execute. Someone changed the configuration over here. That's why it is not working. So let me change the configuration. Let's give me 1 second. So let us try again. So let me delete these tables. I think try to activate this. So usually this configuration is made by admin, but so now the data is updated to 00 table. Now in the second case, when the DXE is enabled, if you go to manage, the first data has come because DXE was disabled. in this case because someone changed the configuration. The second case, if you see, even though you see data in the PSA, you don't have data because it bypasses the PSA and the data is transferred via HTTP to HANA into the in-memory DSO. So now if you right click, first the data is in 40 table and then it is transferred to 00 table. So on top of this table, I create attribute views. So from here I start creating data model again. So right click on the content, new, package, DXC models. Right click, new, attribute view, AT underscore. So give the table, the DXC schema. So now you can do as it is. The selection of columns, creation of attribute views, and accessing this data. From here it is same data modeling. Any questions until here?
Yes, Nagarjuna, I have a question here.
Yes, please, Mahinder.
Which tables do we need to select for modeling? Because there are 5 different tables are there.
We have to select 00 table, Mahinder, because
only the modeling will be done only with the 00, right?
Exactly.
Then what is the purpose of other 4 tables?
The 40 table is a intermediate table. It's called activation queue table. So the main purpose of this table is, for example, if you see the table 00, if you double click on the table 00, if you see the columns here, you have the key, right?
Yeah.
So let's say a customer is updated. Now again, if you're trying to get the same record into the table, it says unique constraint violated.
Okay.
Because the same key is again coming in inserting.
Okay.
So in this case, you'll have key violation. So that is the reason you have an intermediate table called 40. So in the 40 table, the first data comes. Let me tell you with a small example over here. For example, for 01, the phone number is 7799911129, and for the customer 01, the phone number got changed. Yeah. So if you get the 01 again, it says the key is violated. So if you, for the phone number is changed for customer to 777799911112. Now this is 40 table and this is 00 table. So first the data comes over here, and then based on this key it will try to check this key. So there is an internal program that runs between 40 and 00 table. So it deletes this entry and overwrites this entry. So that is the purpose of 40 table. So 40 table is an activation queue for any updates to the previous records. First it inserts at 40 and finally updated to 00. Please see. So when I right click and delete data, for example, let me delete this data. So delete all rows in the 00 table. So I don't have permission to delete. I'm not authorized. But you can try this just before the data comes into, or we can do it again. So let me show you. So now we don't have any data over here, right?
Yep. Yep.
Let me try to execute the info package once again. It's just a pass through.
Okay. Just kind of temporary storage.
Yeah, queue table. So if you click start, but immediately I have to go and refresh. Just in a split second you can see data probably. See, you see data?
Yeah.
And it's gone. It's suddenly
Yes.
gone.
Yes. Yes.
It suddenly disappeared.
Okay. Okay.
So basically this is an intermediate table. So first it updates internal jobs, transfers the data again to 00 table. So that is the main advantage of 40 table.
Okay.
And 70, 80 AO are called as control tables. So control tables in the sense, now if you right click on 70, open content. Now if any updates happen, it basically keeps some internal marking for each field. And AO table, it has the timestamp.
Okay.
So what is the request ID here? So in the info package, if you go to manage, and here you see it is 610 and 611.
Yes.
So it basically tells you 610 is updated in this time and 611 is updated in this time. So status 5 means it is completed successfully. And 80 table, all these are statistic tables, internal statistic tables. So what is the size? How many packets of data are there?
Okay.
So what is the activation key it uses?
That means each time when the info package is activated, then info package is created, then the log entries will be available in these tables, right?
Exactly, 70, 80 AO tables.
That means kind of how many updates happen to this the 00 tables, all this information.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of log tables.
Yeah,
Okay, fine. Thank you.
welcome.
And one more thing is, I think in real time scenario, lot of memory will be occupied by these tables, right?
But because it executes dictionary compression, so right? So it executes a
Yeah.
dictionary compression. So using
Yes.
dictionary compression, it takes less space actually.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Zubair? Zubair, are you there?
Yes, 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 Mr. Naidu. Can you hear me, Mr. Naidu?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So, just I want to. Any doubts you have, please ask me. So, how many are from BW background in this class? Murali, you're from BW background? Sanat? Sanat? Sandeep? Zubair. Zubair is from different background. Banu,
I'm from above background.
above background. Okay, okay. So once the tables are in HANA, so what we have to do is we have to start data modeling as the HANA data modelers. So then, if you don't have any doubts, then I'll move on to the next topic. Next, we move on to the concept, which is analytic privileges. So analytic privileges are used to restrict access for read operations to certain data in analytic, attribute, and calculation views by filtering the attribute values. First of all, what is an analytic privilege? Let me try to explain this. So there are three main important objects. One is called user. The second one is called role. And third one is called analytic privilege. So user to role and role to analytic privilege. So the main purpose of analytic privilege is what user should be authorized to see what data. Suppose there are two users. Now all the users should not be able to see all data. For example, let us take a person called Smith. Smith is a manager of USA. And Julie is manager of India. Now Smith should be only able to see data for USA, but not for India, because he is the manager of US region. It's something like we should be able to see only our payroll data, not other employees' payroll data. So we control data access using analytic privilege. So usually if you see attribute view, customer, AT underscore customer. Now at the AT underscore customer, you have the column country. So in the country you have a value called USA. Now these attribute views are associated to analytic views. So first we restrict on the analytic view, what analytic view, what attribute view, what column inside the attribute view, and what value inside the attribute inside the column. Now once you know all these things, now these information views are in packages. So probably the Smith should not be able to access all the packages. Now this is who is going to decide what user should be able to see what data is the GRC team, governance risk compliance team. The GRC team is a team which is going to decide what data should be viewed by what user. That is on the business side. But as a modeler, we are the people responsible based on the GRC inputs, GRC team inputs, we are going to create the analytic privileges. So our part is only this. But for this exercise, we will do end to end. So both these parts are taken care by the security guy or the HANA administrator. This is done by the HANA administrator, but we are responsible for this area. HANA modeler. But in order to see the output, we will do entire scenario. So first is I'm going to create an analytic privilege based on the existing data model. So let me identify a data model, expand instance, expand content, so expand development package. Just you can take any view, right click to see data. So let us take a view. So some issue is there here. So this is the data we have. So let's see what data we have for country. So you have data for different countries over here. Now using analytic privilege, I'm going to restrict data for user. So right click on the package, click new, click analytic privilege. Now I've given ANP underscore USA underscore region. So USA manager. So I'm giving the analytic privilege name. Click next. So expand the package, expand SD master data, expand analytic views, and then select. And now this is not the one, right? I want to take something here. So select the analytic view. So in here, what I'm doing here, first I'm taking the analytic view from the package, and from analytic view I'm going to take the attribute view and then restrict to country. Click add and click finish. So in here, once you completed the analytic view is accessed. Now for what attribute views you want to create restriction, click add and then select the required attribute views. Expand AT underscore customer and select Landex and click OK. Click add. Click value. So here it says invalidated view. So there is an error here. Again we need to redeploy this. So I click on the analytic view and redeploy. And also try to redeploy the customer. Let's see what attribute view is inside the AT underscore customer. So let us redeploy this as well. Now let us do again the same thing. We'll repeat the same navigation step. Again click value. So now you see all the countries. Now select United States and click OK. because we would like to restrict for United States. So please see what I've done. I've taken analytic view, I've taken attribute view. In here, what column you want to take and what data you want to take. And finally click Save and Activate. So now we have created analytic privilege. So if you expand, you see now the analytic privilege is over here. So once you see the analytic privilege over here, then now this is our part. Until here we are going to do. How many analytic privileges? We create all the analytic privileges, update the authorization matrix, and that matrix will pass on to the HANA administrator or security admin. So what he is going to do now? So let me for some time do activities like admin. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to log into the security user. Click next, give the username, and click finish. And once you're done, expand content, you can see all the packages. Now we're in the system user, so I expand the security, right click on roles, new role. So now I'm creating a role here. So the first step is completed, so I'm performing the second step. So now give the role name, role underscore US A underscore manager 9. So in here for this role I would not allow all the packages to be viewed by the user Smith. So Smith should not be able to see all the packages. So in this case I go to package privilege and click plus icon, and I would not access everything, but if you want to give everything, then you have to give root package. This is usually taken care by administrator, but if you want to do it for a demo purpose, then you can take the package, that is this one, development underscore so on. So from this package I'm using the view. So click OK. So at the package privilege I only want to access, so this guy will be only access this package. So I select repo read, native, activate, maintain. So in the analytic privilege I giving the analytic view, analytic privilege I've created. that is ANP underscore USA manager 9. So this is the entity privilege. And then in the object privilege, we give schemas like sys underscore BI and BIC. Because BIC contains column view, so whenever you generate an analytic view, it generates a column view. So we need to have access to the column view. And also if you're using a time dimension, then the tables are inside BI. So we need to select both the schema. So click execute and select. And also select sys underscore BIC. Execute and select. Once you select the required schema, click system privilege. So object privilege, we have to give one more thing here. We have to give access to the repository, because along with the schema, we also need to have the repository access. So there is a standard object to access the repository which SAP has given, which is known as repository underscore rest. So this is to access the repository, and select execute. And system privilege, like you want to do backup, create catalog, create schema. In this case I would take everything, all the system privileges. So at the package privilege, we restrict the package. Analytic privilege, we give the analytic privilege. Object, give the schema. And system privilege, we give the different system related privileges. And once this is done, click deploy. So once you deploy, here you would see a role is created. So what is the main purpose of role is, it is mainly for reusable. It's a reusable object. The same role you can assign to Smith, you can assign to Julie. You can assign the same role to different users. So once the role is created, the next thing is you need to create a user, and again this is part of the administrator. So I click on the users, new user, and create a user called Smith, and give the password. So I've given the password W capital welcome 1234 and W capital welcome 1234. So finally click execute, deploy. So it says Smith already exists. So let us take Smith 9 and click deploy. So once you deploy, here you would see the user. So now Smith will log in, the user will log in, but it has a predefined role called public. But along with the public, we need to add one more role. So what we are going to do, we are going to assign role to the user. But you have one default role called public. Along with this, I'm going to insert one more role, which is role USA underscore manager 9. Role underscore USA manager 9. Double click. So here you have role USA manager 9 and deploy. Now once the user is created, now finally the user will log into the HANA system. Right click, add system. In here, provide the host name, HANA server, instance 07, SAP HANA. Click next, and now the Smith 9 will log in. And give the password. And click finish. So for the first time, it will ask us to change the password. And click OK. And click OK. So once this is done, now Smith 9 as a user is logged in. Now once the user is logged in, now he should be only able to see first the package, only the development, but HANA user, please, he can see all the packages, but Smith will only see this package and SD master data, and here he should be only able to view data for USA, but HANA user will view for everything. So if you go to the development package shown, if you expand analytic view, right click, data preview, now once you data preview, you click distinct values. Now this is on the HANA user. So if you see Landex, here we see all the data. But if the same thing, if I view for the Smith 9, for I click in data preview, I should only be able to see for distinct values, now only United States. But here, he able to see all the data. But for this, you're only able to see United States. Click raw data and see only United States is displayed. So that is where you can restrict the data based on country, analytic privilege. But suppose say in future you want to add additional countries. In that case, again you can go back to the analytic privilege, double click, click add Germany, click save and validate, deploy, right click on the analytic view, data preview. So this time we should be able to see both the records, which is Landex for Germany as well as United States. So that is the analytic privilege. If you have any doubts on this, please let me know.
Yes, Narachna, Mahendra here. Hello.
Yeah, Mahinder, I'm able. Yeah, please go ahead, Mahinder.
Yeah, just do you have any kind of facility like that to get the user details about the logged in user? For example, if you see the payroll, the user who logged into the system, he can see only his data.
Mm-hmm.
But the role will be a generic role for the whole country, which are, for example, if you see the employee master data, there will be only one employee self-service role, which will, whenever if you log in with your ID, then you can see only your data. Do you have any such kind of facility to get the information in the runtime?
Mahinder, actually there are a lot of disturbance. I was not able to get your question clearly. If you mind, can you repeat again, if you don't mind?
Hello. Yeah,
Mahinder,
Nareshna, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Please, Mahinder.
What I'm asking is, do you have any kind of facility to get the logged in user information at runtime?
So can you give me some example? Actually, unable to.
Yeah. For example, for an organization, there will be employee self-service role, but okay, for all the users, it will be there. If employee wants to see his payslip, only his personal data only he can see. But the role will be unique for all these users.
That is, this is a data authorization. Mahinder, this is purely data authorization.
Yeah, that, do you have such kind of facility in HANA?
So you want to see only his payslip.
Yeah, only his personal data.
So that's what we have done right here. Because Smith should be, because he's a manager of the United States, he should be only able to see US data.
Yeah.
So analytic privileges are mostly concentrated on the data authorization.
Okay.
Like how you would like to control the data based on the user.
Yeah. The thing is, but here the information is static. It's not dynamic, because the role, which is, for example, this particular US9 role will be assigned to all the whoever users has this role. All the users will see the same data, right?
No, it's not like that, Mahinder. Because we see there is something called authorization matrix.
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's say Smith, John. So now we take based on company code.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you want to design authorization based on company code.
Okay.
Based on BUKRS. So all these users should only be able to see for this company code for 1000.
Yeah.
But now you'll have 2000, which is a different company code.
Mm-hmm.
So all these users will be able to see 2000 company code. But
okay.
this will be given by the GRC team. I mean, this user should be able to see.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Fine.
If you'd want to dynamically change.
No, not dynamically change. What I'm saying is, for example, if an organization, there are 100 employees are there in an organization. Mm-hmm. All these, I'm giving an HR master data example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all these 100 users will have only one role. which is a ESS, employee self-service role.
On the ECC side, you're telling. You're telling
Yeah,
on the
on
portal side. Portal.
No, both, either portal or ECC.
Okay.
And all these employees are assigned to only one org unit. In runtime, what will happen? For example, if you take in portal, if user logged in with his personal ID, it will search for this partner number which is mapped to this ID. And based on that partner number, it will fetch the information and provide it to that user.
That's what we have done here also, right?
Which will happen in runtime.
This one also same Mahinder here.
Okay.
Here also we have taken user, different user, but when we execute this user, it will take in runtime based on the analytic privilege.
Okay.
Only in the runtime it is accessing the data. Now, for example, if you see the visualization plan for this, please see the visualization plan, how it executes. So if I click raw data, show log, this if you see the internal working of this, so this is executed at the database level. Not even the application level. Normally what the example you've given is on the application level.
Yeah.
But here if you see, where is KNA one? Now here in T005 view, where is this view? Where is this attribute view? KNA one. So here if you see 56 rows are transferred.
Yeah.
So not authorized.
Yeah, it's okay. I understand this concept.
Okay, okay.
I understand this one.
But if you want to dynamically do, right? If you want to design dynamically,
Yeah.
if you want to create,
if you see in ABAP or anywhere, for example, there will be background. There will one program will run, for example,
Okay,
get
okay.
employee information.
so okay, okay.
That
Now
will
I
fetch the
got.
information dynamically.
If you want to write a program, then you should not take fixed over here.
Okay.
Now I got it. So if you want to write a program, right, you have to take
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yes.
repository procedure.
Okay.
So that you have to write a procedure for that.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay, fine.
Because
Yeah,
here we
now
have taken fixed.
yeah. Because whenever the,
And
even
because
the
I did not think that you wanted to write program.
yeah, because in SAP what will happen is in backend, for example, in ECC we want to get information. Dynamically there will be one like remote functional module will call get employee information remote functionality.
Yeah,
In
that
that
is this one.
program they will pass the one of the parameter which is the logged in user details from user master data. Based on that it will fetch the information and provide it to that ECC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So in
I
that
want
case,
such kind of this thing.
then you can use this repository procedure.
Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Any other doubts? Okay, then today I will stop in here, and tomorrow we'll continue. We'll start a new topic called data reporting. We'll start with the data reporting tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Nagarjuna.
Okay, thank you.
I'll drop an email. Please share me the today's recording. Okay.
Okay, okay, Mahinder, I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Nagar.
thank you. Bye.